Hello Internet, I'm Jackie Fox, and I like to make min-maxing content for Wotive. And if you're a brand new player or you're just getting into competitive, this is a video about why you should consider building a whole lot of +0 armors and at least doing the raid revival maybe 20 times. Because that will get you minimum 52,000 raid medals, which is enough to +0 every piece of armor in the proper build that I recommend throughout this video. But also, you're going to be getting medals from the raids themselves, so you're going to have even more stuff that you can spend, and you might be able to, I don't know, go crazy and build a +6. If you're the type of player who already has +6s of stuff built and already does raid revival and already knows this stuff, hey, this video isn't for you. But leave me a like before you click off the video, because I'm helping the community to build a strong community with new players starting the game so that we have a game to play into the future. Or if you are a newly competitive player, like the reason why my phones are buzzing throughout this video, I'm carrying a newbie who came up from one of my lower guilds into a higher guild. I'm helping him get UR armors, and there is a piece of advice that I would give to new players and even older players if you don't have great armor yet for whatever reason in 2023 that I wouldn't in 2022. And this is one of the reasons why I talk about Gumi economics, in-game economic systems, because right now my feeling has changed because the ores and the seals and all of the extra things that you need to take any piece of equipment from 1 to level 50, with the exception, of course, of the awakening materials, but you're going to be farming those during the event, have become massively more common. If you're a new player, you may not have built up a huge amount of resources for those yet, or you may have so much demand for those resources that you've spent what you've gotten already. But I think that it should be, in 2023, a lot easier to build +0 versions of some of this stuff. And there's definitely a number of armors in here that I would recommend a new player building a +0 of in specific builds. My second piece of advice to the same new players that are probably going to be using these strategies is to build Lucio. There are some points where you need a bit of strategy, look it up on YouTube, but the missions were basically designed for Lucio himself to complete by himself. So they're not really equipment, other unit, that kind of stuff dependent. Having good equipment certainly helps. Having good VCs can probably be the most important thing, but it's doable for all new players to at least get him to like level 99 or something. And there's always going to be a raid revival in which you can find a light slash room that Lucio is going to have an absolute ball slashing people to death with. Demon Chimera right now is a perfect example of that, and honestly, the options for light slash and PvE are so good that even a lot of the rooms where they aren't weak to light, maybe they're weak to slash, or they're weak to slash but maybe not to light, light slash can deal with those problems, and Lucio can deal with those problems. So if you're a new player, build Lucio. Also, his 140 is probably going to be like realistically one of the best because it's free and because anyone can really max it out if they give it the effort. So into the future, Lucio, huge investment, do it. Demon Chimera, if that's your bare minimum, do it. Very specifically to cover your bases most coveredly, I would recommend building a survival vest and a knight armor. Between that, you can equip any unit in the game. I don't think there's any equipability limits for either of them as far as heavy or cloth armor goes. That can't be said about the other pieces of equipment on this list. So let's look at what the difference between a +6 and a +0 is. So for the survival vest, which is arguably just as good as the platinum coat, they have differences, but I think survival vest being newer and not having its +6 yet, maybe it'll eventually get that and become a lot stronger. But I think this is going to be the better one going into the future. You want to build it for shield for that 18 defense. If you go all the way to +5, which is, in terms of recipes alone, not talking about the mind-boggling resources you need to get it all the way up there, but just to get it to +5 alone, you get +10 single target resistance for self. And look, that's great. it is worth building these to +6. I'm not making an argument against +6s. What I am saying is, for 124,000 coins in this raid, I'm okay with not having it. If I don't have a survival code at all, I'm okay with that. Find something you can beat 20 times, and the mission rewards alone will give you 52,000 coins. And if your goal is to build a set of UR armors for all of your units, and you only have 52,000 coins, you could actually build a really diverse spectrum of +0s out of this list. Or you could farm maybe 3 or 4 times that, and maybe you'd be able to build a +6. So again, for our newer players out there, I'm teaching you in this video how to min-max this system. So Survival Best is already a recommendation. Power Sash is for strike players. You know who you are. You watch my channel. I know who you are. If you're a Power Sash player, you know, you're a Power Sash player. Now this does actually have a lot of passives on it, so arguably it's not as great. You might, instead of building a +0 of this, building a +0 of this would be redundant with the Survival Best, which is more equipable. So don't build a +0 of the Power Sash. Build it of the Survival Vest, or maybe the Platinum Armor. They have roughly the same stats. The difference is the passives, and a +0 doesn't have passives, so whatever. Do not build a +0 Black Garb. Here's why. It has 21 evade. That's not a lot. I mean, it's pretty good, but 15 of its evasion, at least 10 in +5, I think, but 15 of its evasion, no, actually, I think this is true, actually. This was the part that got added for +6. This was here for +5. So the difference between this and the winter coat has always been that the winter coat had a bit more evasion on board, but this had more on passive, which meant it could stack better. There's a lot of really technical reasons between the two of them, but the thing you need to understand now is that winter coat has 29. A +0 winter coat will have 29, whereas the other one will have, let's check it one more time, 21. 8 is a big difference. Although 10 and 15 is also a big difference. And arguably, if you're doing evasion and you're doing evasion well, every bit of evade counts. So there is an argument for not doing either of these. But if you do one of them, I would say the winter coat. Probably most importantly, knight armor, because it's equipable by anyone who can equip heavy armor. But it is really focused on spirit. 20 spirit in its defense, in its barrier form. So that's what you want to build for your +0. Also has quite a respectable amount of HP. If you want defense for your heavy armor, if you are a sword equipping heavy armor user, the Brigandine is where you want to go. Building a +0 of this just to have a heavy armor with, again, really good HP and good defense, and a little bit of spirit too. Not bad. It's actually marginally better than the cloth versions that we've seen. But again, remember that this is less equipable than this. You definitely want to build both so that you have defense and spirit options. For these two, though, these are a lot more specific. This is only for Dragoons and Lancers. If you don't have a Lance, you can't equip this. But also, if you carry a Lance, you can't equip the Brigandine. So for our Lance players who need an armor that covers defense, the Azure Dragon armor is the only option. Diamond Coat. Diamond Coat is specific to gunners, and it's a defense build. It has roughly the same defensive stats as both the Platinum Vest, the Platinum Coat, and the Survival Vest. A +0 of either of these three items would all be basically the same, because again, the thing that you're getting for leveling it up past 0 is all of these extra passives. Gunners, this is what they're going to want, but again, if we're talking about +0s, and just let me make this point one more time, there is almost no difference between Survival Vest, Diamond Coat, and Platinum Robe in terms of a +0 in terms of stats. The biggest difference is that only gunners can equip Diamond Coat, so you might as well make a survival best just to invest in the one that's probably going to be better in the future. Finally, we have the Galmia Coat. Do I recommend you building the Galmia Coat to +0? I mean, maybe. If you, for whatever reason, if you just hate the Smart Coat and you don't want to farm it to +5, and you want a cloth option that offers you Spirit, I guess the Galmia Coat is the coat for you. Maybe there's actually more argument for building a +5 Galmia Coat than a +6. A +0 than a +5 or a +6, because often units are getting a 20% magic up passive somewhere else, so this isn't nearly as impactful. This on the +6 definitely helps it become relevant for what it's trying to do, but again, you kind of have to change your build to work around this. So unless you just want Spirit, I probably wouldn't build a +0 of this. So if you are a brand new player, which of these do I recommend you build +0s of right away with your first 52,000 coins? Survival Best to cover defense and cloth armor? Maybe if you aren't going to build a Smart Coat, and you should consider it, Galmia Coat for a barrier and spirit build, Knight Armor for its general equipability among heavy armor users, and Spirit, and then if you need defense, that's going to come with the Brigandine for heavy armor, unless you're a Dragoon, in which case you need to build this, and there's no real reason to build this. This is good for evasion if you're building +0. And my recording cut me out there. I hate Bandicam. I wish someone would offer me some option that was free and didn't have a 10-minute limit, because it really screws with me. But I hope that I've made this clear enough that even if you're just starting the game, and even if you have very limited time and resources, you know how to easily get your bases covered. That's the goal here.